Hey everybody, this is Matthew from MiniWarGaming.com, and I haven't done one of these in a while, but I'm actually going to sit down and do a vlog. And that is because yesterday I put up a video announcing that I made myself a new 30-day challenge, which is to assemble a bunch of new Necron stuff and some terrain as well in the next 30 days. It equates to roughly 23 to 2,400 points of Necrons. And I've got the new flyers. It's pretty much all the new stuff. So new flyers, new walkers, new characters, scarabs, or sorry, the spiders, tomb blades, and like I said, the walker, and then of course the flyers. And I've got 6 of the flyers. So, and the nice thing about the flyers, which we'll talk about in a second, is that you can they either make the Doom Scythe or the Night Scythe. The Doom Scythe is the Death Ray thing that draws a line and everything takes a strength 10 AP one hit. And then the Night Scythe is the one that teleports guys in, so it's a transport. But the nice thing is the only difference is the one little piece in the bottom, and they actually swap out nicely. So I had 6 of those. I thought that would take a long time, but yesterday I assembled 4 of them. It only took between 20 and 25 minutes each. They were surprisingly easy to assemble, which I have to say, Games Workshop does a great job with their models. You can make all the complaints you want about their business policies, about their pricing, about the way they treat their retailers, but the one thing they do well is their models. So here, I'll show you. Here is the Necron flyer, and I've got 4 of these sitting right here in front of me. And in this vlog, I'm going to assemble 2 more of them. That'll take me about 40 to 50 minutes. You can come in, Dan. Dan wants to see them. He just came in. I can see him. This is the new flyer. I'll show you guys while I show Dan. Yeah, you can pick one up. It's fine. So, it's really cool because this little piece right here is what makes the difference between a Night Scythe and a Doom Scythe. And you don't even have to magnetize it. You might want to stick one magnet there just so that over time it doesn't, like, the hole doesn't get bigger or something, because it is plastic. That just pops off. So that's the piece. And you can replace it with the Death Ray. I want to talk about this. So in this vlog, I want to talk about the 6th edition update and how it affects Necrons. And we can also talk about other ones too, just whatever I decide to ramble about. So that pops in there. So there's the Death Ray. So now it is a Doom Scythe. And I want to talk about things like the Death Ray being able to hit flyers, which is kind of cool. We were reading about that yesterday. 20 minutes each.
Star Trek.
20 to 25 minutes each.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to assemble 2 of them right now in this video. And it won't even be an hour-long video. Actually, it probably will, because talking will slow me down a bit. And then they go on the flying base. Painting them will take a lot longer than assembling, obviously. Yeah, they kind of, I don't know if Star Trek, or more like Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool, because they're just neat looking. I think they could use a bit more on top. Like, when they finished, it feels like it's missing some depth.
Almost has like a spine on it.
Yeah, it has a spine, but it's almost like the bottom has lots of detail with the guns. It's missing. I don't have the gun in this one right now. And then the top just feels like it's missing something. Other than that, though, I think they look cool. And having 6 of them on the board, now that I've assembled them this fast, I think I am going to actually add 6 more after this.
Just wait till you start painting them.
Yeah, maybe the painting will change my mind. And I'll do it after I do everything else, because I have a lot to do. And I think 6 will be enough. I don't think any game will need more than 6. It's more because we're looking at doing some narrative campaigns. And I might actually need more than 6 for the narrative campaign. But I won't tell you too much about that, because it's a secret. And not even Dan knows about it. Anyways, pretty cool, eh?
Yeah, they're awesome.
So, I am going to talk about 6th edition stuff, and I'm going to assemble this. So, what you can do, have this on in the background while you're painting and assembling, of course, but what I need for future vlogs, and also for future sit-and talks, are questions you want me to answer. So feel free to leave a comment below on questions you'd like me to cover, whether it's about the Necrons, whether it's about 6th edition, whether it's about anything else, doesn't matter to me. Because I haven't done a sit-and talk in a long time, so these will kind of replace those while I'm doing this challenge. And, oh, I've got a video that's done rendering. It's a subscriber appreciation for this month, so I'm just going to toss it on YouTube. That'll only take me a second. It's going to be 2 seconds here. Here we go. I know you're thinking, he could just edit the video. I'm like, no. Not for vlogs. Subscriber appreciation. And then congrats to all the winners. Twitter, join in here to have a better chance of winning next time. So I got my Twitter, twitter.com/MiniWarGaming, and then we have our 2 Facebook pages. There, there, and there. And then some tags. How's this for behind the scenes? Gaming, oh, I spelled appreciation wrong. And I spelled it wrong there. Appreciation. Appreciation, there we are. Monetize it, yes. Turn on ads. Allow people to reply. Add to the playlist, subscriber appreciation. And done. Okay, sorry. You get a little behind the scenes of how things work. It's really exciting, I know. Okay, so let's open this up. I'll show you a bit of, this will be kind of like a bit of an unboxing video for this stuff as well. Comes in 2 screws, that's it. And everything's on there. And I've done these so many times now that I almost don't need the instructions. But I have them handy just in case. It's actually pretty easy to put these together. So, I'll tell you right away, I really like 6th edition. I think they made a lot of improvements. There's a few things I don't like. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the idea of the character, the combat challenges, or the character challenges. I don't think it completely makes sense. It makes sense for some of the armies, but not all of them. So to force my Tyranids to stand up to a challenge or back off just doesn't seem to make sense. But, you know, whatever. That's a minor issue. And but I like what they've done with the vehicles, because they basically made the vehicles a lot more squishy. There's a few major changes that make the vehicles a lot easier to kill. For example, blasts now do full strength against them, even if they only partially hit them. And that's a big deal, because I always found blast weapons that were high strength, low AP a little silly. They're more like a troop killer, but you know, you have these AP1 large blasts, like on my Doomsday Arc, for example, and it's like, yeah, that's great that it's AP1, but the moment that center of that circle is off of the vehicle, it's only strength 5 if you round up. And strength 5 is not usually enough to take out vehicles unless they're light vehicles, in which case a strength 9 AP1 large blast is a little overkill for light vehicles. And on top of that, it says blast, and blast helps you hit multiple things, but you never hit more than one vehicle with a blast, because the center it was next to impossible to get the center over more than one vehicle, unless they're like side by side and the center just happens to scatter over a tiny little bit, but that never happened. So they always seemed a little kind of silly for anti-vehicle. They're fine anti-infantry, obviously. You drop a strength 9 AP1 blast on anybody and they're going to die. But I was always more concerned about anti-vehicle because of the way 5th edition worked with their vehicles. But now the blasts do full damage, which of course is awesome, because things like the heavy venom cannon on the Hive Tyrant, that's a small blast, strength 9 AP4. It was always stupid to fire it at a vehicle for 2 reasons. One, because it gets, I think it always had -1 on the chart, on the damage chart, yes, unless it was an open top vehicle. And number 2, that blast, you know, it's strength 9, but it scatters a little bit, all of a sudden strength 5. And that would happen all the time. So it didn't seem very useful. But then we did a little demo game where I fired it at some orc vehicles, and all of a sudden it felt really good because, you know, it got a solid hit and it was able to do some damage. So I like that. So that's the first reason that vehicles are a little more squishy, is because blasts are more effective against them. The second reason is AP nothing weapons can actually hurt a vehicle now. Before they could as well, but you got -1 on the chart, so you did a glancing hit with them because AP nothing weapons are typically lower strength. Like I don't think I ever saw strength 9 or strength 10 AP nothing. I could be wrong, but I never saw them, so they could have been in there. It was more like strength 5 or strength 6. For example, the Tyranids have their Devourers, and then when they have a monstrous creature, they're strength 6 AP nothing. And that was useless against a vehicle. Even, like, maybe against an open top vehicle it was okay, because sure, you got the -1, but then you got the +1 because it's open top, so that was just dice even. But then if it's a glancing hit, because it's only strength 6, so even an orc truck, which is armor value 10, you're glancing on a 4. So you need a 5 or a 6 to penetrate, and you still get dice even, basically, because it's +1 for being open topped and -1 for being AP nothing. So they just didn't feel very effective. And now AP nothing doesn't get a negative on the table. So essentially AP nothing weapons got a little buff against vehicles. AP1 and AP2 are the same. I know you say, well, AP2 gets a +1 and AP1 gets +2, but the vehicle damage chart shifted. So everything is 1 higher. Like on a 5, you immobilize rather than a 4. So AP2 getting a +1 just kind of keeps the AP2 weapons where they were, which is cool because now AP2 weapons are effective. Really what happens is AP3 and AP all the way up to AP6 weapons got a bit of a nerf against vehicles because they have a little harder on the penetrating roll to destroy the vehicle, and they don't get any bonuses. So AP2 and AP1 stayed the same, which I think is cool. AP3 to 6 got a little nerf, and AP nothing got a little buff. So I thought that's pretty cool. Or you can say it stayed the same because instead of -1, the chart is a little harder, but it joins the ranks with everybody else, making it just as feasible as AP3 through 6. So I thought that's really neat. And then of course is the whole glancing hits don't roll on the table, they just take off a hull point, which I think is really neat. Playing the game a couple times now, it can still feel very ineffective to glance vehicles. I played against a Dark Eldar player, the battle report will be up today, so I don't feel bad saying this. I think it's in the vault. And he brought like 9 Venoms, which are just these little open top transports, and they're AV-10, but they have a 5+ invulnerable save. And I was playing Necrons, and my Necrons auto-glance, but when you're firing, like you auto-glance on a 6, so usually I would do enough damage to, like in the one case I glanced him twice, so that should have killed him because these little Venoms only have 2 hull points. But with a 5+ invulnerable, we have a pretty good chance of ignoring at least one of those, and he did. So there's a lot of times where there should have been about 3 or 4 more Venoms destroyed if it wasn't for that 5+ invulnerable and having those 2 hull points. And I don't think they should only have 1, it's just the 5+ invulnerable was tough to crack. So that felt a little less effective, but then that was a tough list to go up against, so it's not really a fair comparison. He brought more of a, I use the word spam, not that he did anything wrong, but he brought a lot of things, whereas I brought a smaller amount of elite things. And if you're up against somebody who brings a lot of stuff, elite armies have a hard time with that because they simply just can't fire enough. Even if what they're firing is effective, they can't fire enough to take out the other army. So that's why horde armies can be so effective. Anyway, so I had a hard time against him, and I won't tell you the outcome of the game. You can probably guess, but you can go and watch it in the vault if you're not a vault member and sign up. You can actually sign up for free for 7 days and get a free DVD by going to MiniWarGaming.com/free DVDs. And now we're back from the commercial break. So yeah, so there's that. So the AP nothing weapons got a little boost. And then there's the glancing hits, which actually can do something. So if you've ever had that frustrating experience of glancing something several times and rolling all 1s and 2s, I'm sure we've all had that experience, where you basically do nothing except stun the vehicle or shake the vehicle. Now you do all those glancing hits and you destroy the vehicle. Even a Land Raider can't stand more than 4 glancing hits because it only has 4 hull points. And surprisingly, what do we got? Oh, maybe I should show this on camera. This is going to make everybody want to watch my vlogs. Just got a big FedEx box in. This may or may not be a model for Dark Potential. Yeah, this whole box holds one little model. There's a good reason for it. How do you open these things easily? Excuse me. This is actually from a sculptor. Alright, we got this. That was inside of it. Who is in Ireland, I think. He used to work for Games Workshop, so I'm pretty excited. According to the pictures, the model looked really good, but I told him I wanted to check it out before I give him more work. So that's what I do with all the sculptors. But I hope he works out because he's fast, because he's used to working for Games Workshop, so obviously it's a fast turnaround schedule of getting lots of stuff done. Holy cow, this is wrapped up. Probably couldn't even hear me through all that. Oh, it's an iPhone! But it's not. But iPhone case. Alright, throw that out. Okay. Oh, this little note. Okay, just his information. Alright. Oh, oh, oh. There it is. Oh, yeah. He is hired. Let's open this up. Handle with care, because if this is what we're going to keep, this is the Corporation Commando. That's what he did.
Ooh, I like.
This is for our second wave of models. We're working on getting our first wave done right now. Oh yeah. Yeah, look at that guy. Pretty cool, eh? Should I hire him?
That looks pretty dang good.
Okay, well, his arm is separate on purpose. Take a look. Oh, come on. Hold on. Focus. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah. Yep, he's hired. That's awesome because he can get like 2 miniatures done a week. That'll actually advance our production quite well. So I gotta handle this with incredible care. Put it back in the iPhone case. Awesome. There you go. You should feel privileged. You are literally the first people to see it. Well, not really, because I guess this is recorded. But, yeah, anyway. What was I talking about? Before I got distracted. We have detected that your video may have bad lighting. No, it doesn't. It has great lighting. What are you talking about, YouTube? There. Video posted. And already comments. Gotta love it. Close, close, close. Alright. Let's throw that away. Okay. So there's the glancing things. And the vehicle damage chart is about the same as before. Like there's no wrecked anymore in the vehicle damage chart. The only way to wreck a vehicle is just to get rid of all its hull points, which will happen quite frequently, I think. But yeah, so overall I'm liking those changes. Makes vehicles feel a little more something that you can take on without being fully prepared for them. My only concern is that the flyers in 6th edition will be like vehicles were in 5th edition. See, in 5th edition when you played, this is early 5th edition, when there wasn't tons of vehicles rampant everywhere, and Imperial Guard were the kings of let's bring 1 million vehicles and people just don't know how to deal with it. When that was the case, then people had a hard time with that unless you knew you were facing vehicles and you could prepare for them. So you had to like specifically tailor your list in order to really be able to take on vehicles effectively. Now that's not true for every army. Like some armies are just naturally good at taking on vehicles, but armies like Tyranids weren't. Tyranids are very specialized. All their units are very specialized in what they do. So you have to know what you're up against in order to be able to prepare effectively to do that. You're not simply running around. Like the Dark Eldar list that I played against, each Venom had 12 shooting attacks that were all poison. And 12 each, and there's 9 of them. So that's 108 poison attacks. So if I brought a Horde army, 108 poison attacks per shooting phase. And on top of that, then they had 5 guys inside of them, and each of those 5 guys, one out of each of the 5, had a strength 8 AP2 weapon. It's only 18-inch range, but it's on a fast skimmer open top, so, and there's 6 of them. Plus there was 3 elite squads of 3 each that all had that weapon. So that's like, how many would that be? That's 15 strength 8 AP2 weapons. And then he had some heavy support with lances, and some other guys with lances, and 3 jet bike groups with lances as well. So his list would have been fine against vehicles, and it was also really good against hordes of guys. So a list like that is just a naturally good list at a tournament because it's got so much firepower in it, and it's very, poison attacks are good against anything. If you're shooting at a huge group of orc boys, well, no problem. You got 108 shots. Are you shooting against monstrous creatures? No problem. They're all poison, so they wound automatically on a 4. And so that's a good all-comer list. But not everybody's army can do something like that. And most armies have to kind of choose, especially the Tyranids. Am I going to be anti-this or anti-that? Now with the new vehicle rules, it's a lot easier. The other change to vehicles is in close combat they're a lot easier to hit. Whereas before, the moment you moved, they had to roll a 4 to hit them, and then if they moved more than 6 inches, you had to roll 6s to hit them, which was next to impossible. Because then you had to roll on the armor penetration on top of that. Now, if they don't move, you auto-hit like before, but if they do move, you always hit on 3s, because their weapon skill 1. And I don't know of anybody whose weapon skill is also 1, in which case they'd have to hit on 4s, unless they're being affected by a psychic power. But that's not going to happen very often. So that's nice, because now you can actually take them on in close combat. Now, the flip side of that is that transports, the guys inside a transport can overwatch against people charging the transport. And so when you get these open-top vehicles, like let's say I don't know, a battle wagon full of Burna Boys, or heck, a Necron Ghost Arc full of warriors, and you're within 12 inches, so they're going to rapid fire. That means when you try to charge those vehicles, which you'd normally be able to take out in close combat no problem, now they get to fire at you first. So transports will be a problem, but the other vehicles that aren't transports won't be a problem as much. But anyway, and so close combat is more effective against non-transport vehicles. Now, if they're not open-topped, they can only fire out of the fire point, so you'll have limited fire. But it'll still be a little harder to crack them attacking close combat. But I am glad that you always hit on 3s. They could move 36 inches across the board, and you'll still hit them on a 3, which I think is fantastic, because it always felt like Tyranids, for example, their main threat against vehicles wasn't close combat, but vehicles knew that, or players knew that, and their vehicles always moved enough to nullify that threat. So it didn't work quite as well. So now it will, which is great. That Land Raider, now I can actually hit it with the Trigon. And on top of that, the monstrous creatures getting their smash attacks, which doubles their strength. But it halves the number of attacks. All of a sudden, a Trigon can run into a vehicle and hit on strength 10, re-rolling armor penetration, which it gets 2 dice for, which is just ridiculous. On top of the smash hit that it gets at initiative 10 for running into the vehicle, which is not effective against heavy vehicles, but is still great against the medium to lighter vehicles. So Trigon, we actually did a little test video. Trigons rip apart Land Raiders now in close combat, whereas before they would do okay, but it would usually take them a couple rounds to take them down. Now they can just tear it to tiny little pieces, because you just get 4 glancing hits and the Land Raider's gone. And on top of that, it just comes in with those high strength. It's almost automatically penetrating, because it's going to be hitting on a charge. It gets, if you do smash attacks, it gets 4 smash attacks at strength 10, rolling 2d6 for armor penetration, and it's AP2, so you get +1 to the damage chart, and you get to re-roll armor penetration, because smash attacks re-roll armor penetration. So it's just, how do you not get, and you're hitting on 3s at worst, so how do you not get 2 or 3 automatic penetrating hits that all get +1 on the table? It's awesome. So I really like that, because you're always paying a big penalty to try to get your vehicles into close combat. So it's nice to see that what you're paying for can really pay off.
Pretty sure monstrous creatures only get 1d6 now.
No, this says they don't have armor bane.
I'll double check.
I thought check monstrous creatures entry. Dan thinks that you don't get 2d6 armor penetration. Well, check that. I thought they got armor bane. If not, we did that wrong. I haven't done any major games with my Tyranids yet, so it's not too big a deal. Come over to the video while you're doing that.
Alright.
Don't do it off camera. Makes it look like I'm just sitting here not talking.
That's what you do.
I know.
Well, not anymore.
So, monstrous creature entry. Put that. Ma, you don't know where it is by now? There it is.
Fine.
Oh, you're right. Oh, really? Well, I guess that makes more sense, because when they do their smash attacks, they get to re-roll their armor penetration.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. That means those videos that we did were also wrong. The Trigon versus Land Raider was completely wrong.
Right. At least the new Trigon wouldn't have got as many. Maybe. Who knows? 4.
You're forced to glance, you get to reroll. You get less than 2d6 rerolling, that's for sure. But now each of those hits is going to be still knocking off a hull point at least.
And that's good enough. You
Yeah.
still would have wrecked it, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know, because they get 4 attacks initially with their smash attacks.
4 is a hit, re-rolling.
So
Probably
basically
3.
the smash attacks are to make up for the fact that they lost their 2d6 armor penetration. I wonder why they decided to do that.
I don't know.
See, I take back a bit now that in close combat it's easier to take them on. Like, that's still good. Don't get me wrong. Being able to take
anything with armor 10 value in the back is just
yeah, armor 10 is screwed anyways. Like before, the Trigon was strength 6, rolling 2d6. So armor 10 was already screwed. It's when they went up against a Land Raider, and 6 plus 2d6 was still difficult. So they don't have armor bane, eh?
Yeah. What I like was Orc Boys. Armor 10 in the back, charged with even 10 boys. That's 40 dice, hitting on 3s, and then 6 is the glance. You don't have that many hull points.
Oh, I checked. In my Ghost arcs,
Uh-huh.
in Doomsday arcs, 4 hull points.
Really? They're 4?
They're 4 hull points.
What?
The same as my Monolith. Like, I expected the Monolith to be 4.
Right. Yeah, there's not too many 4. I thought only the 4 was the Land Raider, Monolith,
And that little command barge, 3 hull points.
Most things have 3 hull points, unless they're
Well,
like tiny things.
Yeah, but I
Like
expected...
land speeders and killer cans.
Or, like, the Venoms. But I expected... But he's just this little transport for one guy. He's a chariot. You'd expect him to be 2 hull points, right? But he's,
Yeah,
but he's
that's
3.
true.
Yeah.
Necrons.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. It's just surprising. When we played the Dark Eldar vs. Necron game, I assumed they had 3 hull points. I didn't even look it up. Now, it didn't actually matter. It didn't ever get to the point where it would have destroyed the vehicle. But it's good to know.
Yeah, you have 3 vehicles with 4 hull points.
I know. And it's a Ghost Star. Like, I'm glad they chose that because Ghost Stars are expensive. They're 115 points. And you might think, oh, that's not expensive. It's a transport. It's a transport that's 115 points. Like, it has some shots on each side, but you know, when I look at the Venom across the board for me, who has 12 shots that are all poison, all of a sudden my 5 shots on each side that are just strength 4 don't seem so fancy. Now, mind you, they do auto glance, and I know they have other advantages. They can repair, but in reality, when you look at the advantages of other armies, sometimes it's hard not to be envious. If you know what I mean.
I really want to fight all your flyers.
You don't want to?
I really do.
Yeah, we'll have to have an orc fighter versus
Fighter.
my fighters. So yeah, we were talking about... Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, I'm really bummed about that now. No armor bane. Why did I think they had armor bane? Maybe because I was just carrying over from 5th edition. That must have been it.
Yeah, it's crazy how much your mind just like fills in gaps that shouldn't be filled until you read the rules.
Yeah, and you just reading so many rules, it's hard to remember which ones you read this time and which ones you just are making up yourself. Yeah, for your first few games of 6th edition, question everything. If somebody talks like they know what they're talking about, question them anyway, because it's new, so nobody is an expert yet. It is impossible. Even the creators of the game, this is speaking from experience, the creators of the game are no exception to that rule. Because how many times have we played our Dark Potential playtests and people would actually point out rules we did wrong? And I'm like, I made the game! But there's so many rules to remember that it's quite possible to get them wrong.
And we're all like, hey, reread the rules, reread before you comment and make a mistake or whatever, commenting, and then we like play a full playtest all wrong.
Completely wrong.
It's because we missed something.
It's true. It's easy to do, right?
When it's good, you learn faster. Did you just sum that right now?
Yeah. Now it looks like it's kind of like framing a house. That the framing of the house will go up in like 2 or 3 weeks. I know this from experience. I used to work in construction, and so the people who you're making the house for, who you told it'll take 4 months, they're like, "Oh, you're way ahead of schedule." And you're like, "Nope, the details." So there's still the guns and stuff to put together. Like I still have all these little pieces left. It still won't take long. It'll probably take me another 5-10 minutes.
No, it's a pretty simple model, but awesome looking.
I know, it's great because all the details are on these large pieces. So
perfect model.
I like it. I like this. My style. Necrons are my style. Fast to put together, fast to paint. As soon as I have to do details, somebody else can do that. I actually had a question on one of the videos when we posted some of the pictures from Worthy Painting, and the question was, you guys sell your own painting tutorials and how to paint, so why would you get a painting service to paint some of your miniatures? And my answer is simple. Because unlike normal individuals, we put up videos every day, and so we need variety. And there's no way that we could actually keep up and make all of the armies that we want to make. And so it's nice to have a hand from a painting studio. So it's not that I'm saying I recommend everybody go out and use a painting studio. It's definitely something that you have to decide for yourself. Painting studios are great to use, especially where they painting. They're really good. Blue Table Painting too. They're good too. Now we're back from commercials again.
All right, I'm going back to work.
Oh, you have work?
And edit videos.
I don't believe you. You don't work here.
You pay me.
That's true. Yeah, get back to work. All right. But anyway, so we get some of our models painted just to supplement. Like, obviously, I'm about to put together and paint 2,300 points of Necrons. Most people would take, I don't know, I'm guessing a few months to do that, and that's not me bragging. I'm doing it while I'm working. This is work day. Normally, other people have to work during their work day, but I get to put together models during my work day. So that's pretty cool, I have to admit. But we still can't keep up with everything, so that answers that question, if whoever asked that question is watching this vlog. But anyway, so monstrous creatures don't get armor bane. That's really too bad. Still goes to show you, you should always reread the rules. And like I said, when you're playing against somebody, if they say, oh yeah, it's definitely this way, say, you know, no offense, the game is new, so I'm going to look it up anyway. And you'll probably find that half the time they're wrong. So it's very interesting actually to find the rules that people do wrong. There's one thing that doing battle reports forces you to do. It forces you to, most of the time, have to be really good at the rules. And we still make mistakes, as you all know. We can tell by your comments that you know that we make mistakes. But we do have to know the rules really well because of all the comments. We learn from the comments, actually. When people point out things, that's actually one of the biggest ways that we learn the rules, is because you can read and read and read all you like. But what do you got?
I've got a new army.
Oh, it's Tau. Your Tau army.
It's not mine, I'm just borrowing it for battle reports. But I might add to it. Alright, I'm done.
Tau army. With guest appearances. That's okay. It's nice to have a break from talking for the 3 seconds that you jump in.
No problem, man.
Anyways, what was I saying before I was interrupted? I don't remember. Does it really matter? Were you even listening? That's okay. Just droning on, giving you something to listen to while you're painting. So yeah, what were they talking about? We got 6th edition stuff. 6th edition. Let's talk about Necrons in 6th edition. So the Death Ray. The Death Ray is interesting because it's on a flyer. So the Night Scythe. We'll talk about the Doom Scythe, then we'll talk about the Night Scythe if I remember by that time that that's what I was talking about. Hold on, 5 and 6. Here we are. So these ones are for. This is where I just need. It's interesting actually. The sprue. See these pieces right here? I only need 2 of them, and it comes with 6. I looked over everything over and over and over and over again, and I don't need any more than 2. So I don't know why they provide the extras. You might say for conversions, but that's literally the only leftover pieces in the entire model. So 5 and 6 are for the Death Ray. Okay. Excuse me. So anyways, the Death Ray is, I think it's going to be, it seems very powerful. Basically the way it works, it's a special weapon. It doesn't fire using a ballistic skill. What you do, it has a 12-inch range, which doesn't sound like much, but it's on a flyer that can move 36 inches and still fire it. So it can basically get anywhere it wants to. And you put a point down within the 12-inch range, and then you draw a line, straight line that's 3d6, so 3 dice in inches long, and everything under that line takes a strength 10 AP 1 hit. So if it goes over a squad and it goes over 4 models, then 4 models get hit with a strength 10 AP 1 hit. Not those 4 models necessarily, because you still have to follow the wound allocation and everything. But 4 models get hit with a strength 10 AP 1 hit. And it's auto, like you don't have to roll a hit. So no more lining up your vehicles there, Imperial Guard. It's going to zoom up and go voop, and everybody takes a strength 10 AP 1 hit. And if I'm facing from the side, it's all on your side armor. Not that you really need that against Chimeras. Stop making so much noise over there.
I'm sorry. It's like Christmas.
Just ripping through all that paper.
It's like Christmas.
It's like Christmas. Okay, but, see, here's the thing. Oh. There. Cut the right thing. Don't want to cut off the wrong pieces. The thing is, when you're firing against flyers, anything that does not have the Skyfire special rule fires only using snapshots. And a snapshot hits with a ballistic skill of 1. So you're basically always rolling 6s to hit with snapshots. And it specifically says that template weapons, blast weapons, and any weapons that do not use a ballistic skill cannot be fired as snapshots. So, can a death ray be targeted to a flyer? The answer would be no. However, a flyer can elect at the beginning of the shooting phase to choose to have the Skyfire special rule. So basically, a flyer can choose in the shooting phase if it wants to target flyers or if it wants to target things on the ground. And but it specifically says that flyers cannot be targeted by, even if they have the Skyfire rule, they cannot be targeted by blast, large blast, or template weapons. But that's all it says. It basically says, but they don't have to fire as snapshots, essentially, is what it's saying. So the Death Ray could actually hit flyers. Unless there's an FAQ that comes out. Actually, I got the Necron FAQ right here. I'll double check that, so we don't have to wait. Death marks, Doom Scythes Death Ray. Yes, he then draw a straight line considered to be 1 millimeter in width between the 2 points. So that's all it's correcting for that. Because you basically draw the line and everything under the line. And so the way that we're basically reading it is that you choose, is your Death Ray going to go over flyers or is it going to go over guys on the ground? Which would include skimmers and all that. And you have to decide that beforehand. Which I think is great because it makes the Doom Scythes super anti-flyer, because most flyers are low armor value, so getting hit by a strength 10 AP1 automatically is pretty crazy. So, amendments, let's just look through this really quickly. Okay, anything about the Doom Scythe? Doom Scythe is just a flyer. You ignore aerial assault and supersonic. You just refer to the main rulebook. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, so according to the rules right now, unless this gets FAQ'd, which I hope it doesn't, because while it seems overpowered, the Death Ray just seems overpowered, period. It's not necessarily because it can hit flyers or not. So it's nice that it can have an anti-flyer weapon like that. So the Doom Scythe is going to be very effective. Now, the big disadvantage of the Doom Scythe, I think this is the big disadvantage, I haven't really played it to find out. It's only armor value 11. It does have living metal, which means it can try to ignore crew shaken and crew stunned results. But it doesn't have quantum shielding like all the other Necron vehicles do. So it doesn't have armor 13 on the front and sides until it suffers a penetrating hit. Which, you know, is probably fair because now that it's a flyer, it's going to be hard to hit anyway. But it might be pretty easy to kill. The nice thing is it comes in from reserve, so unless you have interceptor weapons, it's going to be able to fly on, fire once, and then maybe die after that. But just firing that once might make up its points. It is 175 points, though, so they are not cheap. Right, I've cut off all the pieces that I need, so I just got to put this all together. So we'll see how they work. But I want to bring as many as I can into a game. Like I want to play a 2,000 point game, because as soon as you hit 2,000 points, then you can double your force organization chart. So you have to bring 2 HQs and 4 troops. But then you can bring 6 elite, 6 fast attack, and 6 heavy support. And Doom Scythes are heavy support. So I want to do that. I want to bring 6 of them. That would be about 1,000 points. And then I have to bring 2 HQs. That'll be a couple hundred points. And I have to bring 4 troops. And so even if you do minimum squads of warriors, you're still looking at another couple hundred points. So you're still, you know, it'll be a very minimal army of just flyers and a few other things. But it could still be kind of neat, just because you have to. I would warn my opponent that that's what I'm bringing, because it would just be cheese if they show up and they're like, I have half my army is anti-vehicle, but none of them have Skyfire, so I'm going to be hitting you on 6s. It just would feel a little cheese to do that kind of thing. I know a lot of people out there like cheese, but I like organized cheese. You know, where your opponent knows that you're going to be using cheese, so that he can try to do anti-cheese. What would be anti-cheese? What food would be anti-cheese? What do you think?
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter? Yeah, I guess peanut butter doesn't go with cheese. But is it like the anti-cheese, or is it more just like a? Is that like a soft? Is that a soft counter, or is that a hard counter? The cheese.
Well, everyone likes peanut butter.
Yes.
It's smooth. Goes with a lot of things. Nobody hates you when you eat peanut butter.
Well, your breath can still smell like peanut butter, though.
It's true. People with allergic reactions can die.
Exactly. More people are allergic to peanut butter.
Never mind.
But cheese has milk, which there's a lot of allergies to milk, like lactose intolerant, or my son is allergic to milk, not lactose intolerant, but just allergic. So there's similarities there. So I don't think that's the hard counter. It might be a soft counter. especially like the non-crunchy. That'd be a soft counter to cheese.
I took a whole 5 seconds to think about it.
Yeah. Depends what kind of cheese too. If you're talking like old cheese, then that has a very strong flavor, and then so maybe soft peanut butter would be a good counter. What do you think, Dave? What is the counter to cheese? What food would be a counter to cheese?
Broccoli.
No, cheese goes on broccoli. That's not a counter. That's like a good symbiotic thing.
Yeah.
Counter would be something that's the opposite of
By
cheese.
themselves, they're opposite. Together, they're perfect.
But opposites together destroy each other.
Opposites together make babies.
Touche. Cannot argue with that statement. Oops, put the glue in the wrong spot. Because I was laughing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, that makes sense, but I still want a food that's the opposite of cheese. Mike, what do you think? What food is opposite of cheese?
Opposite of cheese.
Cheese, yeah. If you had to say that this food
It's
is...
like any kind of cheese. Cheese in general.
Cheese in general, yeah. We're assuming like your typical cheddar cheese, like something that has a...
That won't go with cheese.
Not that it won't go, that it's the opposite of cheese. But more, if it's opposite, then yeah, you're right, it won't go. So what food would be the opposite?
Cheese goes with a lot of things.
I know, but what doesn't it go with? What would you like? What would you say? Like this is cheese and this is anti-cheese.
Like candy of some kind. I wouldn't eat cheese with candy.
Candy? Yeah, I guess cheese and candy.
Like cheese would go with like any vegetable. It goes on bread. It goes on.
Yeah, it goes on grains. It goes on vegetables.
You can even eat,
It
like,
goes with
cheese and apples
meats.
are really good too.
Yeah, you can even put it with some fruits. In fact, fruit and cheese, that's a very normal thing to put together. Cheese might be the ultimate thing that you can't counter. Maybe that's why it's called cheese.
Yeah.
Because you can't counter cheese. There's no anti-cheese, which is why it's cheese. Okay, well, we solved one of life's mysteries. That cheese is cheese because it can't be countered. That's true. Okay, well, leave a comment below. What kind of food do you think would be the perfect counter to cheese? And if there is none, then what would be a counter to cheese if it's not some sort of food? So, I'm curious actually. This is a mystery that we have to solve. What is
Watch,
the...
like 3 days from now, it'll just hit me. I'll just be like,
Oh, of
pull it
course!
out.
Yeah. It's in the middle of nothing. It'll be like, peanut butter! I'll be like, what? It's the opposite of cheese.
Cereal doesn't go with cheese.
Cereal doesn't go with cheese?
No.
Yeah,
At
but
all.
cereal does go with milk. And cheese
But
is made
cheese
with
and
milk.
are a completely different thing.
No, they're not. Cheese is made from milk.
But they're still completely different.
They're not completely different.
Okay,
It can't be completely
milk
different
is
if it's
like
made from
runny
it.
and watery.
Yeah.
Not chewy and...
So what you're saying is milk is the counter of cheese?
That would be interesting if it was.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of similar.
Yeah. It'd be a tricky thing, like a thing you wouldn't expect. Oh, it's taking a lot longer to assemble this when I'm making a video. 43 minutes in. I'm almost done. It took me like 20 or 25 minutes. Maybe I'll only do one on this video, and then I'll turn off the video and do the other one in like 20 minutes. But maybe I'll make a time-lapse video of me doing the last one. That's what I'll do. Just turn the video camera down. Do like a 30-second video of me assembling it. That'd be kind of cool. Let's put together the death ray. Well, I don't know. I'm confused now. I don't know what the opposite of cheese is anymore. But you know what? There could very well not be an opposite, which is exactly why it's cheesy. Because it can't be countered. You know, it makes sense. It does make sense. Not really, but it does. I am actually almost out of this glue. I've used almost an entire tube of glue in putting together all these guys. Alright, one there, one there. Then we've got this. See, what I find useful for putting the death ray together, because you don't know exactly where these are going to go. If you're not going to just glue it onto the base, is you just stick it in anyways. Because that way you get it right where you need it. And then as the glue dries, it'll hold it where it needs to be. And because I have 4 others that were made yesterday, I can pop out their attachments and I can put the teleporter thing into those. So that's kind of nice. So, anyways, almost done this. So, what else about 4th edition and Necrons do I like? Their glancing seems to be a little better now. Seems to. I haven't played enough games though to see if you can really see a big difference. I'm assuming, because glancing is awesome. But still, you're glancing on 6s, and that might sound Well, yeah, you do auto glances though, but 6s are not that easy to roll. And even if you're rapid firing 20 shots, let's say you're hitting on 3s, let's say 18 shots, because then I can do the math a lot easier. You're hitting on 3s, so out of those 18, 12 will hit, and then you're hitting on 6s, so that's going to be an average of 2. So 18 rapid fire shots, which is often what I have in a Ghost Arc, because I'll have 9 warriors accompanied by a lord. Out of their rapid firing, you get, on average, 2 glancing hits, which, you know, it's not bad, but that's a lot of points. That's like a whole unit devoted to just taking out 2 hull points. And again, you think, well, against the Dark Elder that'd be okay because they're only 2 hull points each anyway. But then they've got their 5+ invulnerable save, and there's that too. Like it's not very hard to get a cover save now because it's 25%. And a 5+ cover save is not something that you can depend on, but you get enough of them, and you're going to make some. So it seems like it's going to be better overall. I've played a few games of 4th or 6th edition now, and I have to say I like it. I'm surprised. Maybe it's because it's new, but I really like it. I think they actually did a good job with it. There's a lot of ambiguities. They're bad at writing rules. I like the concepts of the rules they've come up with, but we've had so many arguments about how things are actually supposed to be, like models moving through other models. And it's funny because Dan and I had a debate, we put it up in the vault, and by the end of it we had both agreed that you can't move through models because it says so. It's just they forgot to put in a more explicit paragraph. And then there was still debates in the comments saying you could move through models. So it's going to create problems, I'll say that much. Hopefully an FAQ will come out which will clarify that, because it would be pretty dumb if you could move through your own models. Because then all the jump infantry rules that say they can move over models would be like, well, so what? Everybody else can too. As long as they end on the not over top of a model, which is what their rule is anyways. So anyways, you can debate that all you like in the comments below. Feel free. And I'm actually done assembling this Doom Scythe. Took me a lot longer, but hey, I got interrupted, and talking slows me down. There we are. So there is the attachment for a Night Scythe, and there is the attachment for a Doom Scythe. Oh wait, I got one more thing I gotta do, and that is the base. Gotta attach this to this. Here we go. There, that was tough. I will not put the flyer on that right away. Give it a chance to dry. And then I will pick up the camera and show you my 5 flyers. Here we go. And then we'll finish. Alright, here they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the one I just created. Still drying, and this one's still drying, so I'm not going to put it on its stand yet. And then I got the 5th one back there that I'm going to put together. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this vlog. And I did. That was fun putting together a Doom Scythe. I'm going to make the last one right now as well. I'm going to do a time-lapse video, and because I want to get it done so I can start painting these today. This is Matthew from MiniWarGaming. Leave your comments below, questions you want to ask me, things you want me to discuss in the future, things you'd like me to do for this Necron challenge or this 30-day challenge, and happy wargaming.